Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. It's been about 2 months since we've had Mr. Billy Broussard featured on Sound Off, but wanted to come and do this one today because by the time you see this broadcast, Billy will be 1 day away from a court hearing. And as many of you know, Billy Broussard has filed 3 lawsuits with regard to defamation, all regarding the fallout from the January 6th St. Martin Parish Planning and Zoning meeting. And today we're going to talk about, oh, by the way, Judge Roger Hamilton had to recuse himself. He was the judge appointed to 2 of the 3 cases, including the one we're going to talk about today. And so he recused himself because he has previously represented Mr. Broussard and also has encountered Trooper Scott Lopez when he was with the district attorney's office. So that has been what has delayed some things, but this case did get reassigned. This is the case against Scott Lopez along with Scott Lopez's son, Benjamin, and there will be a court hearing literally the day after this this feature airs. And the nature of the hearing is that attorney Eric Hike, who Trooper Lopez retained to defend him in this matter, set forth a rather large plethora of discovery requests. And I will say this, I believe Mr. Broussard went above and beyond what most any party would do in bending over backwards. And we're going to give you a direct link to all of the discovery responses that Mr. Broussard provided, and we're going to highlight a few, put them into the feature, but even that wasn't enough. And so Eric Hike said, look, here's the bottom line. If you don't give me these last 2 things that I want, I'm going to file a motion to compel Mr. Broussard. Now we're going to very, very briefly, the 2 items, and the first of which is financial statements for Mr. Broussard, which Mr. Broussard has said, look, I've given you the name of my CPA. You are more than welcome. In fact, I want you to have the records, and you'll see his opposition memorandum. He makes that very clear. As soon as these records have been produced by my CPA, you'll get them. And so that basically has been decided to be moot, and we wouldn't even be having the court hearing on Thursday, which will be tomorrow from when this airs. But there's one item still left, and that is Mr. Hike wanting an itemization of Billy's vehicles. And Billy, I want you to start chiming in as to why Mr. Hike is so hell-bent on getting this list, and the nature of why you have filed an opposition memorandum saying you believe, as you stated in your initial response, they're irrelevant. So why don't you chime in on what's going on here?
Well, first of all, sometimes attorneys don't get the whole story from their client.
All right.
So I think now, after he's questioned me and wanted more and more information in regards to these vehicles because of what I mentioned about a particular purple truck that Mr. Lopez had mentioned in the before the council, not the council, but
the planning and zoning. And I tell you what, since you brought up the purple truck, it's a perfect time. We're going to break away, and we're going to let you see Trooper Scott Lopez on January the 6th, 2022, and how he asserted that this purple truck provides the proof that Mr. Broussard has been permitting others to come in and to offload vegetated material, and that Mr. Broussard has been charging those people. Let's break away. We'll be right back. This is January the 6th, 2022, starring Louisiana State Police Trooper Scott Lopez. We'll be right back.
I'm going to try to clear some of this up for you. I'm sorry, I'm Scott Lopez. I live at 1734 Duchamp Road. Right here's what I'm handing y'all. This is, which I'm going to explain later, which is just some of the logs that we have of Mr. Broussard continuing to illegally dump on the property. Like he has been dumping illegally, running a business for profit. I'm gonna cut down to the meat and potatoes. But he didn't explain too much about Mr. Broussard ignoring the land restrictions and illegally operating his businesses since he purchased the land, or how he has also been dumping and allowing other companies and people to dump on his property illegally since he purchased the land. Starting July 29th and continuing to December 4th, which is approximately 4 months, which Mr. Broussard is correct. After December 1st, we haven't been seeing his trucks. We have eyewitnesses, pictures, videos proving that Mr. Broussard has been illegally dumping tree debris from his company on the property and allowing other companies to do so as well.
You said something that hasn't come up before. You said other people have been seen dumping trees there?
Yes, sir. I think, well,
Have you seen
would people please stand that have been witnessing the trucks dumping?
other, not Mr. Broussard, other trucks?
Yes, sir, we have. It was a purple dump truck, which I have a picture of.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. I have pictures.
Please give me a copy of that.
I sure will.
All right, we're back. You've just seen Trooper Lopez's performance. And let me ask you this, Billy. From day one of their communication with you, they have been trying to establish that you are engaging in commercial activity. That's the reason we're seeing the purple truck. Why don't you enlighten us as to how they got themselves into position of having to insist what Trooper Lopez said about this purple truck? Let's bring our viewers up to speed.
It goes all the way back to about July 8th, an email I received from Lee Dirio, the attorney.
And when he says July 8th, he means 2021.
Exactly.
Okay, 2021.
From Lee Dirio, claiming that they had surveillance, they had been surveillancing my property, and that they also had independent witnesses that can testify of this commercial activity. So I sent an email back saying, I'm trying to figure out what are y'all talking about, what commercial activity, and then it dawned on me, okay, I did allow someone to bring some material to my place, some mulch. I mean, people out in the country, anybody that's got any type of garden or anything, when there's a tree service around that has mulch, hey, we'll come, they use that. I mean, in so many different ways, in flower beds, etc., gardens, etc. So that's how it started. That person so happened to be Anthony Thibodeau, which is a judge also in this same district. So I spoke with Judge Thibodeau. I said, look, can you explain to them? Can you go to them and let them know that there's no commercial activity? You were just working in the area. You had some of this material. And I said, no big deal. Just you bring it to my place. It's a farm, 33 acres. I got a spot right here. It's going to be no problem. I mean, but I think when they realize, wait a minute, we got a judge, and the judges, their testimony carries a lot of weight, just like a trooper's testimony carries a lot of weight. So when,
In fact, Chester Cedars told you, why didn't you have the common courtesy to let me know that this was Judge Thibodeau?
Right, but then it's like, regardless who it is, but it just so happened to be Judge Thibodeau. And Judge Thibodeau says, look, there was no commercial activity. What's the big deal? But just to say, they just dropped that. They didn't want to mention anything about Judge Thibodeau any further in regards to commercial activity.
So that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what generated the need to prove somebody had gone on here. And you continue, Billy, because now we're getting to the crux of the matter.
There's some sort of commercial activity, and I think what happened is they shot and we're going to build our case later. So they bottom line came after me with all these false accusations, and I'm sitting there going, I'm trying to figure out what are y'all talking about so I can see what do you mean. I even asked them, if you have the surveillance, please provide it to me so I can look at it, and if you have something that I'm not aware of, I can explain it, and or if you got this evidence, maybe I'll throw my hands up and say, you're right. But they never would provide it to me. So when I talked to Lee Dirio, he went to Chester Cedars, and Chester Cedars came back and said, well, it's no evidence we can actually produce to you. It's testimony from witnesses. Interesting, the star witness
is none other than Trooper Scott Lopez.
Exactly, and like I said earlier, judges' testimonies that carry a lot of weight. Also a trooper. I mean, attorneys out there know when they have a trooper testifying on their client's behalf, that carries a lot of weight. So I believe at that point, they were like, okay, we have to prove that there's some sort of commercial activity. And we know when he presented this to the Planning and Zoning Committee, Sprinky, jumped on it right away.
Sprinky, for those who may not be familiar, is the attorney for St. Martin Parish Government. And he said, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but he said, look, you just brought up something well, you just saw the video. You just brought up something that's never been brought up before. You saw Scott. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Purple truck. in your opposition memorandum, you state that the owner of that purple truck, a gentleman named Arthur Trahan,
Yeah.
had been tracked down. He adamantly denies. In fact, you've introduced as evidence the recorded phone call with Arthur Trahan that said, number one, I do not haul vegetative materials. I haul building supplies. And number two, I won't itemize them all off, but they blocked the road on him, said, you can't go down because you can't pass. All right? I'm real good friends with Scott Lopez.
Yeah.
And he's emphatic that it's not true. Not my words, Arthur Trahan's words.
Right.
It's not true that I went on your property and that I paid you to offload materials. So Mr. Broussard is sticking by his guns and saying that this interrogatory is irrelevant. It's never been in dispute. What truck we're talking about in the opposition memorandum, you'll see 3 photos of the truck.
One of those pictures we have to point out was the picture, the original picture, when he went before the committee. He said, I got a picture of this purple truck. I'm sitting there, and I can see how people that are going before in trial sitting there, and there's witnesses saying, especially a trooper saying, I got evidence.
I got him.
Look, this is what happened. This is what he did. And you're sitting there going, what in the world are they talking about? So I'm sitting there, give me a picture of this truck. So through a public records request, we say, give us this truck, this picture of this truck he's talking about. There's commercial activity between me and this whoever this is that has this purple truck. So through a public records request, we get the pictures. There's pictures being taken. Scott Lopez has the picture in his possession through his phone. He's emailing.
And there's a lot of text with a lot of photos on there. And all of these, now Scott Lopez is a current trooper. Lee Dirio, the one who's serving as attorney, he is a former police officer. And is it okay? So you got 2 right there, and then the third, you got to have a trilogy, folks. The third being former Commissioner of Administration for the St. Martin Parish Government, Calder Pop Hebert. He is the recipient from those tapes. By the way, I understand that Mr. Hebert is no longer with them.
I don't know what happened. One day I went and they said, nope, he's no longer there. And then also the engineer,
Mr. Corville.
Mr. Corville, great guy. Both of them had just left my property not a few months ago. They came again and did a survey of my property. I had one of my neighbors came with a side by side. We brought them all over the property. So I mean, they're my witnesses getting ready for this case because I wanted them, again, the parish to put their eyes on everything throughout the whole property. That's why we got a side by side to show them, not just in a truck, show them all over the place.
And I believe you told me they emphasized to you, look, we just take orders.
Right, they just said, look, Billy, don't do nothing personal. We just take orders. This is like, don't hold this against us, you know. But when they came and they saw, I wanted them to see. I wanted them to see. Actually, Justice Cetus was supposed to be there. He didn't come, but he sent them.
He sent them, and ironically,
they're the eyes for him. And I said, you know, hopefully they're going to go back and report to them what they saw. Like I'm begging them, look at my property. I've even asked Eric Hike for him and Scott Lopez if they would like to come to my property.
Well, and we've also videotaped the entirety of the property when we did the first feature. So that's in a nutshell what the court hearing tomorrow is going to entail. The judge will either have to make a decision to grant the motion to compel. Quite frankly, I think Billy's opposition memorandum speaks volumes. I do want to conclude with a couple of last remarks, though. Trooper Lopez, and we're going to highlight this as part of the responses to the discovery items. Trooper Lopez and his son Benjamin went to enormous lengths. Hear what I'm saying. Enormous lengths to ensure that this man was arrested. Okay, and one of those interrogatory questions says, "Weren't you arrested?" You'll see Mr. Broussard's explanation on that. And I want to point out one thing that, as I said, Judge Hamilton had to recuse himself. This case wound up. I'm talking about the current defamation suit in front of Judge Lewis Pittman. What I like about that is that it was Lewis Pittman who declined to sign that application for the arrest warrant. I believe he saw the trumped up nature of what this was. I believe he saw it for what it was And it begs the question, first of all, why did you bypass Bo Dewey's office and send it directly to a judge in the first place? Oh, I think I got a good picture of why Bo Dewey would have said, are you out of your mind? And tossed it. So, okay, we bypass Dewey. We go in front of Pittman. Pittman said, I'm not signing this. Let me bring up one last little thing, then we're going to have Billy make a closing remark, and then go ahead and be on our way, or on my way. I'm actually out over in Breaux Bridge today. Billy, you brought up in there about this whole arrest situation. I mean, you now have you were arrested.
Right.
We gave the video of you being arrested. You were read your rights, you placed under arrest, and the DA did, once it got to him, said, I'm dropping this.
Yeah.
But you have said in one of your responses that you have not ruled out the possibility or the potential for you to sue Becket Brough's office. I think that's important for folk to know.
Yeah,
I'll let you elaborate.
I have to say, I've reached out to the office. I've tried to schedule meetings, etc. Everybody from through the sheriff, I guess secretary. I'm trying to figure out how we can expunge this and get this off my record, but so no one seems to want to cooperate with me. So I'm talking to different ones, and it sounds like my only choice would be maybe I have to file suit, and that might be the only, maybe that's the only legal ramification to make that go away. But I may have to sue, claiming that I was wrongfully arrested. I'm assuming
your civil rights were violated.
Civil rights, exactly.
And there have been a couple of attorneys who have let me know that I think you might have a strong case.
Right,
so.
and it's just, you ask, look, let's just make this go away. But they did everything they can. Like I said earlier, shoot, and they built a case after the fact. So they came after me and said, okay, we're going to have to build this case. And in every way, they had to, you ask my opinion, they fabricated this whole story about this purple truck because they wanted to say there was some sort of commercial activity going on. This arrest situation.
They tried to go so far as to say you had committed one form or another of assault on Trooper Lopez's son. Trooper Lopez's son Benjamin filled out a formal statement.
Exactly.
And that's the subject of the defamation suit. That's why Benjamin is placed into this. So
yeah, and the whole thing, that whole deal there, that was a complete, completely not true. And he had supposedly a video of everything.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I want to say this too. There's video. When that body cam comes in your house and they video and everything, they have the body cam. Little Lopez, Benjamin showing his phone, showing videos to the deputy
Romero.
Later, through the police report, I said, we ended up getting copies of the videos that they provided to law enforcement, the sheriff's office.
Yes.
Interesting, you look at that body cam's picking up footage off of that phone that he did not share with the deputy.
Wow.
So through discovery, we're going to have to ask, give us all the footage. You were videoing everything. If I assaulted him, and I had a meet lunch with somebody the other day that actually used to work for the sheriff's office, said, can't you believe this? They got a video of me where he's pulled on the side of the road, he chases me.
Yeah, and then turns around,
right.
And he says, hope you got a good picture of me.
Right.
Give me a freaking break.
I got to say this about the police report. They claim that he was just in commute. But the truth is, he was going to his house, saw me, turned around, backed up, waited for me, pursued me, chased me. I pulled over to try to figure out what's going on and what's the problem. Come to find out, because the windows were blacked out, tinted windows, but I could see the phone in the windshield. He chases me. So then I stop, I get out trying to figure out what's going on. I realize it's the young man, so I just have my hands up like this. I'm a far distance from his vehicle. I said, you got a problem? Everything okay? He said, yeah, I'm okay. My point is, all that's being videoed. As I walk up, I'm a distance from him. I could see the phone though.
Yep.
But yet, that part, when I assaulted his son,
went missing.
Supposedly.
It went missing.
Yeah, where's that footage? Oh, well, he didn't have that part of the footage. But the truth of the matter, he didn't provide all that video to the deputy or to the sheriff's office. So putting that report together, I believe, is a false report. Plus, giving bits and pieces of that footage. You ask me, that's cropping out different parts. And if I assaulted you, you think that would be the part. Look, this is where he assaulted me. Interesting, he has all this footage, and he even got footage of me driving to my property and all this. You can see it on his phone. He didn't provide all of that to the sheriff's office, but part of that you can see on his phone. But on top of that, there's no footage of me assault, because I did not assault this kid by any means. But that's what they claim. But they wanted to do anything they could to smear my name, try to, to have me arrested, have me arrested, etc. So, in regards to the sheriff's office, one way or the other, I'm going to expunge my record. And it's going to be very embarrassing for all the players involved, whoever those players were, supervisors, etc., that they did all this. And then when Bo Dewey gets it, he just immediately, when I called the office, there was a letter dated the next day.
Oh,
hey,
yeah,
forget
the next
about
day.
this.
The next day.
So the thing is,
this matter is over.
I have to expunge my record because it's nobody's going. You're not going to accuse me of doing something I didn't do, especially something.
And then just
one of
no
the
harm.
worst. I want to say this. One of the worst things you can do. As a kid, I went to a field trip in that same courthouse. Guess what it was? The guy's name was Honorable Judge Hike. You know what he said? One of the harshest punishments he ever put on someone was somebody that retaliated against a law enforcement, him and his family. So as a kid, you're taught by Judge Hike that the harshest sentence he ever put on someone was retaliating against law enforcement's family. So as a, when
Yes.
all this, and they accuse you of something like that, there's no way in the world. I mean, I was like, but it's very scary when someone will try to fabricate a story and accuse you of some of the most, damning things you can possibly do if you did something like that, but completely fabricated. So now, now we are where we are, and I have to clear my record. I mean, I cannot go down as this person that like he used damn near assaulted my son. I did not.
Yeah, and that's a quote from Lopez from that incident when on April the 25th of last year, 2022. This is when everybody was all riding high. We're going to jam Billy Broussard to the wall. Mindy Mob Boss Gerard, and it's referred to her Mob Boss. She got the T-shirt with the Mob Boss emboldened on it. Tells Deputy Matthew Alexander when she calls Alexander out because Mr. Broussard has the unmitigated gall to set foot on his property, which Blake Dubrock said once Chester Cedars' order is signed by the judge, if he sets foot on his property, he's going straight to jail. That's his words. But Mindy, Mob Boss Gerard, said, well, he committed aggravated assault and blockage. I have no idea what she found so funny about this. I wonder now that she's on the receiving end of a lawsuit if it has quite the same level of humor. So
I have to say this too. I will say a lot of people that I worked for as a kid live I'm from Laurelville.
From Laurelville.
There's a road called Sugar Oaks Road. Some of the sweetest people on this Sugar Oaks Road, a lot of different families that I work for up and down that road that I may have to reach out to as, in affidavits, character witnesses, etc., that I worked for ever since I was a young kid. And, I find that it may rattle some cages that they have the audacity to try to, those people that know me and been knowing me ever since I was a little boy. I'm not going to say any names right now, but it's a list of them. And all these people know me, so they know my character. I'm sitting here smiling because if they watch this video, they know who they are. There's a list of them, though. And these people were the sweetest people you ever want to meet. These people gave me opportunity as a young man to work and help me support my family. I'm talking about my mother and other siblings in my family, not my own children, but just a very young man, gave me the opportunity to work and taught me a lot. These people taught me so many different things growing up as a young person, being able to have that opportunity to work for them. And I'm sure Mr. Eric Hike is very familiar with a lot of these individuals, so good luck with that.
All righty, well, thank you so much, Mr. Broussard. I will be away in Houston, so I will not be able to be in attendance at the court hearing and being able to give you a report thereafter, so I will have to just find out how things go. But I do look forward to us being able to update our audience on how that court hearing tomorrow, Thursday, February the 2nd, like I said, I will be in Houston, and we'll just have to find out remotely just what how it turns out and how things went. No matter the case, though, thank you so much for tuning in and getting back up to speed on where things stand. I know a number of you have asked, what about Billy? What about Billy? 2 cases, we're still waiting on court hearings. This one has this of the 3 has the most immediate court hearing. No case, let me emphasize, no case has had a hearing so far. This will be the first one, assuming there's not some last-second cancellation. So, thank you so much for your dedication, and we look forward to letting you know how this whole hearing on Thursday, tomorrow, turns out. Thank you once again.
Thank you.